if you look across almost any field of celebrity music, movies, anything, you sometimes find these stories that just don't quite make sense. Artists who just explode onto the scene. I mean, a light so bright it defines an era, and then poof, they're just gone. Not a slow fade, but like a supernova.
Flash in the pan.
Exactly. And today we're doing a deep dive on maybe the most perfect example of that whole phenomenon. The unbelievably brief but incredibly impactful career of Roxanne Blaze.
Right.
Our mission here isn't just to list off dates and names. We're going to try and synthesize everything, the different identities, the sheer volume of her work, and that legendary 1994 AVN sweep to really get how she hit the absolute top of her industry in, basically 1 year before just pivoting completely.
And that's the immediate challenge with this. When a career moves that fast, the historical record gets messy.
How so?
Well, our sources, which are a mix of professional bios and industry encyclopedias, they don't always line up.
Right.
For example, her birth year is listed as both 1974 and 1973. And the number of films she was in, it's all over the place. Some sources say 29, some say 37, and one just says almost 20.
Wait, hold on. A range from 20 to 37 films.
Yeah.
That's nearly 100% difference. What does that tell us? Was the work just not being tracked properly?
It suggests a bit of both, I think. It points to the chaos of that 1993 production environment and how central she was to it. But here's the key. Whether it was 20 films or 37, every single source agrees on the timeline.
Which was?
Her active career pretty much started in 1993 and was over by the beginning of 1994. That short, intense sprint, that's her signature.
Okay, so let's unpack the person behind the name. Who was Roxanne Blaze?
Her name was Sarah Ann Belomo. The records say she was born in Burbank, California, September 3rd, 1974.
And physically?
She really fit that classic early 90s look. Caucasian, 5'4", blonde hair, blue eyes.
Right, but Roxanne Blaze was just one of her names, wasn't it? It seems like she had a few different identities going at once.
Yeah, it's fascinating. Roxanne Blaze is the big one, the name tied to all the awards. But you also see references to Roxanne Blaze with an S and an even earlier name, Crystal Lee.
Why so many in such a short time?
Well, sometimes it was to separate different types of work or different studios. But I think for her, more importantly, it set up the perfect exit strategy.
Ah, right. The exit strategy where she uses her birth name, Sarah Belomo, which we'll get to. But let's stay in 1993. What was it about her that made her an instant star? The sources are really specific on this.
They are. It was all about contrast. They all describe her appeal as this stark contrast of her innocent demeanor and appearance and outright blatant sexuality.
So it was a deliberate persona, not just attractive, but this specific blend.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you have to remember, she debuted right after turning 18. That innocent but sensual dynamic it hit the market like a lightning bolt. It's what fueled that incredible pace you mentioned.
And made her marketable to basically everyone.
Precisely. You look at the studios she worked with in that little window, VCA Pictures, Cal Vista, Metro, Vivid, Evil Angel.
Those are the biggest names in the business.
The absolute heavyweights. They weren't, dipping their toes in the water with her. They were signing her for major projects right away because they knew that persona, that contrast was gold.
Let's just sit with that volume for a second. Even if you take the lowest number, almost 20 features, to lead that many projects for top-tier studios in, 12 to 15 months? That's almost impossible.
It implies zero downtime, maybe even filming multiple things at the same time.
It sounds like a sprint.
It is the definition of a sprint. And it suggests a very clear goal. Get in, get maximum recognition, and get out. You can't keep that pace for 5 years. You do it to make a mark.
And that mark became permanent at the 1994 AVN Awards ceremony. This wasn't her getting a couple of nominations. This was...
Well, this was a sweep.
Total, instant dominance. She won 3 major awards, and most of them were for one film, Justine.
3. In her debut year.
In her debut year. And that's how you measure it. Winning 1 is hard enough. Winning 3 as a newcomer is a statement. Okay, let's break down the wins, because the specific awards really tell the story.
First up, the big one. She won Best Actress Film for her role in Justine. This is the top acting prize.
A critical award, not just a popularity contest.
Exactly. And to put a finer point on it, one source also says Justine won Best Film of the Year from both AVN and XRCO. So she wasn't just in a good movie, she was the acclaimed star of the best movie.
And that wasn't all for Justine.
Not at all. She also won Best Couple Sex Scene Film for that same movie, sharing it with Mike Horner.
Mike Horner, a huge name. So that shows she had chemistry with established talent.
Right. Her appeal wasn't just her solo performance. It was dynamic.
And the third award proved her range, right? It wasn't just for film.
That's the key. She also won Best Group Sex Scene, Video, for a movie called A Blaze of Glory. So the industry was recognizing her in both the high-budget cinematic features and the faster-paced video market at the same time.
And just for you listening, to lock it in your memory, the partners in that group scene were Crystal Wilder and Stephen St. Croix. Again, more A-listers.
It just cements her status. She was immediately at the top. And what's really wild is how long that 1 year of work lasted, reputation-wise.
What do you mean?
Well, get this. In the year 2000, 6 years after she retired, she got another AVN nomination.
No way. For what?
For a Best Masturbation Scene from a film called Real Female Masturbation 2. Her work from 1993 was still being held up as the gold standard years later.
That's incredible. Okay, so that's the absolute peak. But this is where the story takes that pivot, the twist that really defines her. After winning Best Actress, the highest honor, she just quits.
Immediately, in 1994.
Oh.
And the timing is genuinely shocking. One source points out something amazing.
What's that?
She wasn't even at the ceremony to accept her Best Actress Award.
Wait, what?
By the time they called her name, she had already retired from the business.
That is such a statement. It's not like she got disillusioned and faded away. She won the gold medal and basically vanished before the victory lap.
It really points to a strategic execution, doesn't it?
It does. It makes you wonder, was that pivot to mainstream movies a necessary move for someone who hit that level of fame so fast?
I think it was highly strategic.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, winning Best Actress gives you huge leverage, but it also completely saturates your brand. If you have other ambitions, that window to make a move is tiny.
Because the name Roxanne Blaze was just too big, too specific to carry into a mainstream career.
Exactly. Which brings us to her second act.
Mm.
She went right into the B-movie circuit. And to do that, she had to rebrand.
By going back to her birth name, Sarah Belomo.
The name change was everything. The B-movie world in the mid-90s was kind of a transitional space. Lower budgets, fewer gatekeepers, and honestly, more forgiving of an actor's past.
Mm-hmm.
As long as you didn't bring your old stage name with you.
So by becoming Sarah Belomo again, she was creating that distance.
She was. And she was leveraging what she'd already proven. She looked great on camera, and she had an incredible work ethic. It was a really smart play.
When you compare her to others who stayed for 5-10 years,
Yeah.
she really maximized the achievement while minimizing the personal cost.
Absolutely. A longer career means more risk, more burnout. She treated it like a project with a deadline. Complete the job, get the awards, and move on to the next objective.
And just to give you, the listener, a feel for her filmography before that pivot, we're talking about titles like Burgundy Blues, Burning Secrets, Parlor Games, Sleepless, Wicked Whispers.
Yeah, these titles alone suggest they weren't just quick, forgettable scenes. They had production value. Her filmography is a perfect snapshot of the high-end 1993 market.
She wasn't just in a lot of films, she was in the right films.
That's it. That strategic choice, plus the persona, let her do in 1 year what takes most people a decade.
So when you put it all together, what do we have? Roxanne Blaze is one of the most efficient, most meteoric careers the industry has ever seen. She hits the absolute peak 3 AVNs, including Best Actress, and builds this iconic persona all inside about 18 months before making this clean break to a new career under a new name.
And if we pull the lens back, it leaves a really interesting question for you, the listener, to think about. When an artist achieves that kind of immediate top-tier success in a field like this, and then deliberately walks away at their absolute peak.
Yeah.
Does the sheer intensity of that single year of work shine brighter in history than the career of someone who chose longevity?
Yeah.
I mean, does that brief, brilliant light leave a more lasting cultural memory than a long, slow burn?
That is a fascinating question, especially since her name is still so connected to 1994, even though she barely existed professionally before or after it.
Okay.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the blazing but incredibly brief career of Roxanne Blaze.
My pleasure.
We'll see you next time.